this is the biggest raise we've ever done. And part of the reason for that was that we had a lot of interest from offshore institutions and in particular, North American long only funds, by which we mean uh, resources funds that invest for a real long-term perspective, which is quite refreshing and in fact those people are interested in the overall scale potential of the Sidewell project, which is great.
What do you reckon the involvement here of this North American institution signals about their wider interest in the small cap space?
Yeah, this is interesting, and I've had a couple of people ask me that today, and it's hard to draw too many conclusions based on a very small sample set, but it does, firstly, it definitely indicates that these instos who were previously looking more at the producer end of the market are now starting to drift down and their attention is now falling upon advanced explorers. And obviously that's been something that we'd hypothesized would happen at some point in the cycle, as it always does. And it's really super positive for everybody to see that starting to happen.
So how will this cash injection enable your further growth at Great Boulder? What will it mean?
Well, a lot of the programs that we have in place are going ahead in terms of things like the Ironbark study, the field studies pursuant to mining approvals, which are things like hydrogeology, metallurgy, all of that, waste rock characterization. All of those are happening anyway. The material things that will change is that it enables us to accelerate drilling. And so we'll go from a single rig program to 1.5 to 2 rigs in the field. So that'll increase our drill rate by 50 to 100%. And that in turn brings the global resource update closer. So we certainly should be able to achieve that this year. As we've said before, we want to do that resource update at the time at which we've got enough meters in the ground to define 1 million ounces. And really, the other thing is that it just de-risks the company in terms of the fact that we won't be looking for further capital injections this year. Obviously, going into the back half of this year, we would have had to raise money at some point relatively soon. And I think the things that people sometimes might not realise is drill programs actually cost quite a lot of money, and we have to keep funding it to move forward. Ultimately, we're just looking to achieve the opportunity to mine Ironbark at some point starting later next year. So, that's kind of the holy grail, is to try and get to that stage.
And what are some of the key milestones as far as the Ironbark scoping study? That's due out shortly.
Yeah, so just delivering that, that will outline at scoping study level an NPV or free cash flow number, which should be quite a large number, we're hoping, and I haven't seen any information on that yet, but that should be ready to go very soon. Then we'll use that to, firstly, that will feed into the mining agreement negotiation, which is already well underway. The next meeting with those guys is in July, so we should be pretty close to finalising that. Certainly in plenty of time to take it to their AGM in November, which is kind of the key date to meet there. Obviously, while all that's underway, we'll be doing these field studies, the hydro and everything that I was talking about before. And all of those things should coalesce around the end of the year. Mining lease to be granted shortly thereafter, and we'll start the start the mining approvals timeline with the government. And which means that if we have all those pieces in place, start the mining approvals clock ticking, then once the approval comes through, then we can start mining. So, that's the ultimate outcome.
And of course, having that 1 million ounce uh, target achieved, that'll be a pivotal moment for Great Boulder.
Yeah, so that's one of the other big catalysts that we're looking forward to this year, is achieving that. And obviously I've been saying that for a long time now, and my belief in that outcome has only firmed as we've gone forward. And obviously now we're talking about going beyond that to 1.5 million ounces, which is a longer term ambition. But both of those things should really underpin the value of the business and help us to grow as we move forward.
Well, on the back of this raise, Andrew, what's the investment case looking like now for Great Boulder? Why should investors take part in the future story?
Well, I think it's really going to be about growth, continuing to de-risk this project. Obviously, we're in a very hot M&A environment in the Murchison, so we have Westgold right next door. The Mecca Metals guys very busy to our north. Got a good relationship with the Canadians Monument to the south, so there's two and potentially three mills in the mix there for toll treatment agreements. We're very keen to leverage that relationship with Monument to help both companies, them to restart their mill and for us to give us a dedicated milling solution. And all of those things, I think, will make Great Boulder a very attractive project, a company. And of course, the other thing is to maintain our independence for as long as we can, and hopefully push this through to mining in the longer term, because we don't want to get gobbled up by one of the bigger companies. Certainly not now, and hopefully not ever.
And as far as that growth, Andrew, is it an organic story or is there scope to pick up some additional ground nearby?
Yeah, look, we're always looking at opportunities, talking to our neighbours. We even talked to Westgold about opportunities that they may have, and we're always considering opportunities for bolt-on type projects. And if corporate opportunities pop up, we'll certainly look at those as well, whether they're inbound or outbound. So we're very open to any kind of suggestions on that front. Anything that would be good for GBR shareholders and help the company grow as fast as we can.